Trump obsessed with sending CD of Elton John's Rocket Man to Kim Jong-un, ex-aide Bolton claims.
Here's a summary of the article.
Donald Trump was reportedly obsessed with sending a CD of the song Rocket Man, signed by Elton John himself, to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, according to a new book that the White House is trying to block. Former U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton makes the claims of Mr. Trump inordinate interest in his upcoming book The Room Where It Happened, a White House memoir. While the White House has sued to stop the publication of the book, The Washington Post obtained a pre-publication version of the tome, which says Mr. Trump wanted Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to hand over the CD to the North Korean dictator in 2018. Calling Kim Little Rocket Man was one of Mr. Trump's favored insults during a time when the two exchanged threats over North Korea's nuclear program. A summit on denuclearization of the Korean peninsula was held in Singapore in June 2018, and Mr. Trump wanted Mr. Pompeo to deliver the CD during a trip to North Korea in October of that year in an apparent attempt to convince Kim that Little Rocket Man was a term of affection meant as a compliment rather than an insult. Trump didn't seem to realize Pompeo hadn't actually seen Kim Jong-un, asking if Pompeo had handed the CD, writes Mr. Bolton. Mr. Trump was reportedly determined to make friends with the North Korean leader, and his desire to give gifts like the Elton John the 400th violated U.S. sanctions that eventually had to be waived.
This post received a score of 38,000, with an upvote ratio of 88%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
And now I'm starting to think this book is just trolling us with shit we want to hear.
Trump sent photos of his hands, with them circled in gold Sharpie, for years to a guy who made fun of his hands just one time. This is in his playbook.
That's why people mock the tiny hands thing. Solely because Trump is an obsessive little bitch about a comedy article one guy wrote like 30-some-odd years ago. With a gold Sharpie, he'll circle his fingers and in his handwriting say, "See, not so short." And this April when he sent me one, I should have held on to the thing, but I sent it right back by messenger with a note, a card stapled to the top, saying, actually, quite short. And I know it just gives him absolute fits.
Penn Jillette said when he worked with Trump on The Apprentice that he would go online, and see what people wrote about him, and legitimately care about what complete strangers said about him. He's very easy to manipulate.
The thing being that, not once, has he ever thought, wait a sec, maybe all these people have a point. Maybe I do act like an asshole. That's because he doesn't just act like an asshole, he is one to the core of his being.
Thing is, it's typically about specific things, a narcissistic wound. With Trump, it's any and every goddamn thing. He's especially sensitive about any insinuation that he's not as rich as he is. It was the only thing off limits in his Comedy Central roast, which suggests he genuinely believes it to represent his self-worth. It's pretty well documented that Trump's father was also an enormous, racist asshole and, based on Trump himself, it's easy to imagine he grew up in a very rich but very emotionally dysfunctional home. I have little doubt that on some unconscious level, Trump actually fucking hates himself, but I wonder if he ever has private moments of conscious recognition of that fact, or, as seems more likely, if he's so severely dysfunctional that he will die without ever considering that he's spent his whole life desperately compensating for it.
Pretty sure it's the latter. Thanks for reminding me that really, he's very mentally unwell, as are many if not most of his supporters, and the people who are really to blame here are his enablers.
Oh, I definitely didn't bring it up to shift any responsibility or blame away from Trump. It's not like he's the only one who is largely a product of their environment. I mean, I don't even know how Melania feels about him. She might be 100% about the wealth and celebrity and just not give enough of a shit to get him help. She might find men like that attractive and not perceive anything as wrong, or maybe she's concerned but scared of him. Although I wouldn't go as far as to say they're mostly mentally ill, there seems to be a clear overlap between Trump supporters and conspiracy theorists, which probably do attract a lot of mentally ill or socially maladjusted people, unfortunately. Actually, conspiracy theories are basically a part of the alt-right culture at this point.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.